Dynamic, changing Seoul, capital of South Korea. A drive along the streets of Seoul will tell you everything you need to know about this city. The vibrancy, the creativity, the early adoption of technology, hip lifestyles, and cutting-edge modernity. It's a city that knows only one gear, overdrive. But all that's come at a price. Seeing Seoul at a pedestrian pace reveals the cement scars of hyper-urban growth. Endless miles of gridlocked roads and the huge grey facades of a city seemingly built overnight. Seoul took off when it hosted the Olympics and the Football World Cup. The meticulous organization and huge engineering projects of those events proclaimed Korea's status to the world. Now they are engaged in another grand engineering scheme, a project that will make an even louder statement. But this time, it's not for the world, it's for themselves. $400 million are being poured into one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects the city has ever seen. The plan is to transform a concrete jungle into a livable, walkable urban garden. A paradise centered around the benevolent forces of the ancient cheonggyecheon stream. The problem is, the legendary stream has disappeared. It will take 21st century technology to turn the ancient stream into a modern dream. The Sum-Il Expressway, the first overhead highway in Korea and one of the busiest in Seoul, a city notorious for its traffic jams. But this night is even busier than most. Tonight, the highway will be closed, not just for one night, not just for roadworks, but forever, because the mayor has a plan. The mayor's plan is simple. It will improve the urban environment. But first, the expressway has got to go.
저희가 이 청계천 이 고가도로를 몇십 년 동안 시민이나 국민들이 유용하게 이용했는데 막상 없어진다 그러니까 너무나 서운한 감이 들고 그래서 마지막 이별하는 그런 의미로.
Lee was not the only one sorry to see the road closed. It's not exactly as if it was unused. 170,000 cars travel on it each night and day. It's been the major east-west highway in the city since it was built. A main line straight into the heart of the city. But its time has come. Tonight, it's being closed to fulfill a 600-year-old dream. Next morning, the pressure doesn't let up. In a carnival atmosphere, dignitaries and crowds gather to watch history being made. The first piece of the 6-kilometer-long elevated highway is removed with a bang. In a city of traffic chaos, people expect to see roads being built, not torn down. Piece by piece, it is being cut up and carted away in the solution to an engineering dilemma that goes back centuries. Seoul became the capital of Korea more than 600 years ago. It owes its existence to a ring of mountains and to a small stream, to the needs of a king and the diligence of a monk. The king was Taejo, founder of the Joseon dynasty. In 1392, he decided that Korea needed a new capital city, but it couldn't be built just anywhere. King Taejo's capital had to be built in a special place, a place with feng shui fit for kings. Legend says that King Taejo sent out a Buddhist monk, Great Master Muhak, to find that perfect location. Muhak was also a specialist in Pung Su, the ancient science of location that balances humans and nature. In China, that science is called feng shui. The legend says that monk Muhak searched for 2 years to find the perfect location. Of course, legends aren't always exact. In fact, King Taejo didn't send out just one monk. He sent out a veritable army of soldiers and geomancers to scour the country until they found the perfect place. The discoverer's name doesn't really matter. What matters is that this spot has been the capital ever since. According to geomancers, the position of the mountains and the stream give this place powerful Pung Su energy. They say earth energy flowing from the mountain to the north is reflected back by the mountain to the south. Mountains to the east and west further focus the natural energy. And at the heart of it all was the Cheonggyecheon stream. The geomancers said that the position of the mountains and the stream made this the perfect site for the new capital. "600 years later, Taejo's stream has been lost, buried deep beneath the some ill-elevated expressway. When the highway was built in 1967, it was an object of pride. The highway was a soaring statement of progress that promised to speed the city's traffic. It was a symbol so potent that the then president Park Chung-hee cut the ribbon to open the new road. But times have changed. People no longer want a highway over their heads. They want the stream beneath their feet. The mayor has pledged to give it to them. The challenge is to find a way to take down a highway in one of the world's most densely populated cities and recover the ancient waters. It requires an army of men and machines to make it happen. New technology must come to the rescue. Seoul's Samul Expressway is being demolished to reveal an ancient stream that lies buried under tons of concrete. There are sound reasons for taking the expressway down. When it was built, Seoul's transport needs were growing as fast as its booming population. But 30 years later, priorities have changed. Now, cars are out and clean air is in. The massive elevated highway, for so many years a symbol of Seoul's modernization, must be sliced up and taken away to reveal the ancient stream hidden below. By the end of the 20th century, the expressway was on its last legs. Showing its age, it had become not only an eyesore, but a danger. People were worried that it might fall down. Weight limits were put in place, restricting traffic to passenger vehicles. Some foreign embassies advised their nationals to avoid it altogether. And local residents were afraid that living so close to it was dangerous. Longtime resident Kim Jung-man was one of them.
왜냐면 처음에 이 복원한다고 할 때는 복원하기 전에 사실은 매수권에서 많이 나왔어요. 왜냐면 고가 도로가 지하에서 침체돼 갖고 뭐 어디 뭐 무너질 우려성이 있느니 또 고가도로 차가 많이 다니까 중량을 이기지 못해 갖고 하중을 이기지 못해 갖고.
Examination showed that the residents were right to be afraid. At any moment, the highway could collapse. The situation underground was even worse. Covering over the stream had turned it into a fetid sewer. Sewer gas leaked to the surface, while pollution and chemicals ate away the underground supports. crumbling concrete exposed rusting steel. Closer inspection proved what the residents feared. The public were invited to see for themselves and didn't like what they saw. There were heated debates as to whether they should try to repair the structures or just tear them down. Then, City Hall offered them a radical alternative.
그래서 이것은 복귀가 돼야만 환경상으로도 좋고 또 시민들의 이 주위를 경제적으로 활성화시키는 데도 도움이 된다 하는 그런 효과를 이렇게 계산해서 하고자 마음을 먹었습니다.
It was an ambitious plan. The highway would come down and the ancient stream would be restored. An urban eyesore would become a 6-kilometer-long park. Promises to demolish a highway are easy to make. Doing it is a whole lot harder, especially when that highway is in a densely populated neighborhood. The municipal government imposed conditions that made a tough job even harder. The overhead road had to be taken down without disrupting the community. No noise, no dust, and, most difficult of all, no road closures. That meant that traditional methods of demolition were out. No pneumatic drills, no ball and crane, and most definitely no dynamite. The mayor had laid down a major engineering challenge. The engineers responded with a plan to cause minimal disruption.
소음이 많이 발생되는 장비를 이제 방음 상자를 이용해서 이렇게 완전히 이제 밀폐를 시킨다든지 아니면은 분할 공법을 이중 분할을 해서 소음을 저감시킨다든지.
Demolition began on July 1st, 2003. It took place on crowded city streets. Barriers were put up to contain noise, dust, and debris. It would take 3 stages to demolish the road and uncover the stream. First, the highway surface is removed. Then the T-shaped concrete pylons that hold up the roadway are cut down. Finally, the ground-level surface is ripped away to reveal the stream below. It's all executed with military precision. Break the sequence, and the whole project can tumble down. The first step of the process is to strip the asphalt from the underlying concrete bed. The asphalt, concrete, and steel of the elevated highway will all be broken down to their base parts and recycled in other building projects. The target? It's high. An astronomical 95% of the asphalt and concrete and 100% of the iron and steel are meant to be recycled. By the time the workers are done and the last piles of rubble are scooped up, 680,000 tons of debris will have been shifted. Before the roadway can be cut up, guidelines for the saws and centering marks for the drills are painted. Wheel saws whirl through the concrete top plate. The saws can cut through concrete half a meter thick, while screens help to baffle the noise. Water is used liberally to minimize dust and keep the blades cool. 1,500 blades are expended, cutting up the highway. It takes a diamond wire saw to cut through the really thick stuff, and blow torches to cut through metal. Lampposts, crash rails, drain pipes, electrical conduits, even the expansion joints on the road are removed. Before a section of roadway is cut free, augers drill holes through it. Cables are threaded through the holes to make a sling. Cranes lower the cut piece of road to trucks waiting below. The trucks then trundle the cut sections away for dismantling in a more people-friendly environment. The largest piece removed weighs 300 tons. That's about the same weight as 200 of the cars that once rode on it. The longest section is a whopping 70 meters. Heavy pieces of roadway could require 2 or even 3 cranes to lift them. Although the pieces of top plate are huge, they must be removed with surgical precision. In the cramped inner city, there is no room for error. Often, only a few meters separate the demolition work from the public. One false move could be fatal. A fleet of trucks shuttle the segments of road out of town. They travel almost 30 kilometers before they reach the place where the final dismantling takes place. Removing the top plate exposes the T-shaped support pylons below. Next, the pylons have to be cut down to size. Here, the diamond wire saws really prove their worth. Diamond wire saws reach places conventional blades can't. First developed for quarrying stone, here they're being used in imaginative new ways. It may not look like much, but the beauty of the diamond wire saw is that it can cut through any thickness of concrete. Have a bigger piece of pylon? Just use a longer piece of wire. Only 40 minutes is required to slice through a pylon arm. The 20 diamond wire saws consume 10,000 meters of diamond wire during the demolition. It takes just 10 weeks to demolish the entire 6-kilometer-long elevated highway. But it's not all about demolition. Given the ancient history of the site, archaeologists are keen to enter the underground stream. But there is a downside. Conducting archaeological research inside a sewer throws up unexpected obstacles. Dr. Hong leads the team.
처음에 들어갔을 때는 굉장히 많은 악취하고 어떤 굉장히 어두운 그런 환경이었었기 때문에 사실 조사가 가능하리라는 어떤 기대도 하지 않았었고요.
The archaeologists have a goal. They want to bring to light a Joseon Dynasty bridge that was buried when the stream was covered up. Metal walkways are put in place so that they can work above the sewage-laden water. Flash floods are a constant danger.
저희가 그때 들어간 게 8월 달이었던 것 같은데 8월 말경쯤이었는데 그날 저희가 들어갔다 나와서 굉장히 많은 폭우가 내렸습니다. 그래서 조금만 늦게 들어갔었으면 그 물에 쓸려갈 뻔도 했겠죠.
Salvaging the Joseon Dynasty bridge is a mammoth undertaking. Its huge stones have survived centuries of flooding. But even more significantly, this is an opportunity to bring back an extremely rare piece of Korean history that had almost been obliterated. It's not just any bridge. It's a precious survivor of the deliberately destructive warfare that racked Korea for 50 years. The 20th century was a tough time for Korea. In 1910, the tottering Joseon Dynasty was overthrown by Japan, and Korea was turned into a colony. In addition to the trauma of war, the Koreans suffered cultural genocide as the Japanese tried to systematically erase their history. Palaces, temples, and any other objects of historical significance were looted and destroyed. Life was hard during Japanese rule. Slums around the stream filled up with refugees who had nowhere else to go. In the 1940s, the tide of war continued to wash over Korea. The end of the Second World War brought independence to Korea, but not peace. Just 5 years later, hostilities began again. This time, Korea was at war with itself. Seoul suffered badly in the conflict. It changed hands 4 times as North and South bitterly fought for control of the capital. By the conflict's end, 47% of homes had been destroyed. Millions were left homeless. Adding to the millions of displaced persons who crossed the stream as they fled to the safety of the south or as they retreated to the north. The neighborhood around the stream was the first stop for many of the dispossessed. The bridges over the stream could barely cope with the weight of new arrivals. A shantytown grew along the banks of the stream. Sanitation was minimal. The only running water was in the stream, and it was dry for months on end. When the water was high, fish swam in the stream. But when it was low, it was filled not with fish, but feces. The stream could not cope with the burden. Disease and crime festered. The fear of epidemic was the last straw. In 1958, the Cheonggyecheon stream was covered over. But covering the stream didn't solve the problem. It just pushed it underground. The post-war press of refugees turned Seoul into the fastest growing city on earth. It also turned the stream into a sewer. Today, the engineers want to turn back the clock and change the disease-laden sewer back into a stream. But not before the archaeologists get a chance to do their thing. To help, the engineers divert the water so that work can begin. Once it has dried out, the sewer reveals more hidden treasures. To the construction workers, it's just a building site. But for the archaeologists, it's a 6-kilometer-long archaeological dig. They have lots to do, and very little time to do it. They have to find, record, and remove 6 centuries of artifacts before the construction workers destroy the site. Mechanical diggers help speed up the work. The archaeologists expected the stream to be bare. They thought that there would be nothing left after centuries of dredging and flooding. But a test trench proves them wrong. It also precipitates a crisis. The archaeologists need time to complete their research before the site is destroyed. But the contractor's schedule is relentless. They can't wait. Any delay will cost them and the city government dearly. Rival timetables clash and conflict brews. In the end, a compromise is reached. Areas of special interest are ring-fenced. They form islands of archaeological research in a sea of construction work.
공사 일정에 맞춰서 저희가 계속 조사를 해야 된다는 것도 일단 굉장히 큰 스트레스였었거든요. 저희가 조사하는 범위 바로 옆에서 공사들이 진행이 되고 실제로 제가 이제 그림을 막 마무리해서 그리고 있는 시점에 위에서 계속 철근이나 이런 것들이 왔다 갔다 해서 제가 저희 팀장님한테 전화해서 너무 불안해서 못 그리겠다 뭐 이런 얘기를 했었고.
Finally, after nearly 50 years, the ancient stream is almost ready to see the light of day again. Demolition of the overhead highway is done with finesse and precision, but the stream is uncovered by simple brute force. Once air hammers open the way, mechanical monsters, called crushers, move in to rip away the surface covering of the stream. They reduce concrete into smaller, more easily manageable pieces. Special jobs require special jaws. Crushers can have jaws that crack and pulverize concrete or shear steel. The shape of the jaw and the configuration of teeth vary according to the job. The jaws have a massive bite. The hydraulic jaws of these crushers exert over 1,000 kilonewtons of pressure. That's enough to cut through 5 steel rebars at one time. Crunching their way through the debris, the crushers separate the concrete and steel, which are then trucked away for recycling. Working below surface level helps muffle noise. At 65 decibels, concrete crushers are comparatively quiet. They make about the same noise as a power lawnmower or a noisy restaurant. That's a tiny fraction of the 120 decibels produced by pneumatic drills. To keep on schedule, work goes on round the clock. But even as the engineers reach a critical stage, the archaeologists make a surprising discovery. They learn that the Joseon Dynasty engineers had also attempted to control the wayward stream. Seoul is reversing decades of unrestrained hyper-modernization. While uncovering the ancient cheonggyecheon stream, archaeologists make a surprising discovery. At first, they're puzzled. Slowly, an enormous Joseon Dynasty stone embankment emerges. Each and every stone is a precious relic that must be meticulously recorded.
먼저 한 250여 미터 되는 그 석축을 물론 그 고고학 발굴 작업 자체가 어떻게 보면 굉장히 지난한 작업이어서 사람이 일일이 해야 되고 기계가 할 수 없고 사람이 그 과정들을 거쳐서 조사하고 그리고 사진 찍고 하는 그런 과정들을 그리고 또 기후의 영향을 많이 받기 때문에 굉장히 지난한 작업임에는 틀림이 없어요.
All the stones are numbered before the embankment is disassembled. Scale drawings made by hand are more accurate than photographs. The embankment has an ancient story to tell. The extraordinary lengths Joseon engineers went to control the erratic stream. The cheonggyecheon stream has always been capricious. It's dry for many months of the year, placid for others. But because it's the lowest point in the city, when it rains, it floods. The problem is as old as the stream itself. Even the Joseon engineers suggested that the stream be covered. The king ignored their advice, preferring instead to preserve the benevolent Pungsu energy. Instead of covering the stream over, diligent Joseon kings arranged for the dredging of the stream. In 1760, the great king Cheonggyecheon went one step further. In order to prevent flooding, he had the stream straightened and embankments built. The operation was huge. King Cheonggyecheon mobilized 200,000 laborers to dredge the stream bed. The silt they removed was piled on either side. So much sand and mud was displaced that it raised the level of the surrounding city streets by 2 meters. The carved stones were not customized decoration. They were plundered from a disgraced queen's tomb and recycled into the public works. The riverworks were so important that they were commemorated in the official dynastic records. Although they tried hard, the Joseon engineers never managed to control the wayward stream. In the 20th century, the Japanese started to cover the stream over, but the job was only completed by Korean engineers after independence. It takes 21st century engineering to turn the sewer back into a stream. New embankment walls must be built. Workers weave a web of steel reinforcing bars. They're the skeleton of the new embankment walls. The walls have a dual purpose. They keep the stream in and keep floodwater out. Tunnels behind the embankment walls will carry floodwater safely away. The foundations of the walls extend more than 2 meters below the stream. They're designed to cope with flood conditions that have worsened in the last 200 years. Because they are so tall, the walls have to be built up in stages. Once the skeletons are complete, wooden molds are constructed and the concrete is pumped. There's an extra challenge for the construction crew at this time of the year. It's winter, and concrete and cold weather don't mix. When water freezes in the below-zero Seoul conditions, it makes the job of pouring the concrete almost impossible. Even if it could be poured, it won't set in temperatures below freezing point. So concrete that is poured under these conditions has to have extra special handling. With the clock ticking, the builders can't wait for warm weather. Instead, the concrete gets a heat treatment. Blue plastic tarpaulins blanket the wet concrete. Steam boilers pump hot air under them, keeping the concrete warm while it sets. While construction workers tackle the embankments, the heat is also on the hydrologists. Their challenge is to get the stream to flow smoothly and constantly. The stream needs to be redesigned from the ground up. Scale models of the stream at Cheonggyecheon and Hongik universities enable them to study its flow. Hydrologists calculate the stream needs a flow rate of 25 centimeters a second, or nearly a kilometer an hour, to remain pathogen-free. At this speed, the water can keep fresh in the summer heat and not freeze in the cold Korean winter. It's crucial to keep the flow steady. Too fast, and the water will erode the banks. Too slow, and it's a health hazard. Stepping stones are the key. They span the stream at 28 places. They look nice, but they're not just there for fun. The stones are strategically placed to control the speed of the water. Scale models are one thing, but it takes more than a hole in the ground to make a stream. The hydrologists come up with a theory. Now it's time for the builders to put it into practice. With the embankment walls in, they swing into action on the flood control tunnels. The first half hour of floodwater is the most dangerous because it picks up pathogens from the ground. Isolating this water is literally the difference between life and death. The tunnels are designed to carry the most dangerous water safely away. Flood control doors built into the embankment walls provide an overflow outlet for the later pathogen-free floodwater. When open, the doors spill the safe floodwater into the stream. In the worst-case scenario, the stream cutting fills all the way up to street level before eventually draining the floodwater safely away. Rainy season floods are one problem, but there is another. The rest of the year, the stream runs dry. New water will have to be found somewhere.
When I started this project, my main concern was water. Since the downtown area of Seoul was developed, the water table in the upstream of the Cheonggye is very low. So in most of the year, the water didn't flow.
To get around this problem, water had to come from another source. Only a few kilometers from the stream is the huge Han River. The cheonggyecheon stream actually drains into it. Dr. No surprised everyone when he proposed taking water from the Han River and pumping it back into the cheonggyecheon stream. It's a 12-kilometer journey from the inlet off the river to the outlet at the head of the stream. On the way, the river water is filtered at a redundant waterworks before it is pumped into the stream. It will be released above ground back into the stream before flowing 12 kilometers back to the river where it started. For most of the year, it will be necessary to pump around 100,000 tons of water each day into the stream. The electricity bill for pumping will be $870,000 per year. That's about the same as the annual electricity bill for 2,000 families. The only time the pumps can be turned off is when it rains. The plan has its critics. Pungsu experts and environmentalists unite to say that putting river water in the stream is unnatural.
마찬가지로 물론 이 자연적인 하천이 아니지만은 이 하나의 하천 혈관을 뚫어줌으로써 서울의 생기가 부여가 되고 서울에 사는 서울 시민들이 새로운 좀 건강한 삶을 살 수 있다면 그는 뭐 큰 문제가 되지 않는다고 봅니다.
Pipes will carry fresh river water to the head of the stream. Other pipes will carry wastewater away. Both sets of pipes are buried under the stream. They are kept strictly separate. In the old days, when the stream was covered, sewers discharged directly into it, creating a health hazard. The new water system completely segregates fresh water and sewerage. Only fresh water will flow in the new stream. The concrete conduits seal foul water safely away. Once they are in place, sewerage will no longer enter the stream. Engineers say the stream will run sweet. It will be the first time that has happened in almost 600 years. To make it possible, the engineers have to shift a pile of pipes. Intercepting sewer lines are demolished, and almost 11 kilometers of water pipes are laid. Meanwhile, underground, time is running out for the archaeologists. They had entered the stream with low expectations, believing that years of flooding and dredging would have flushed the stream clean of any artifacts. They are surprised to find that, in fact, the stream yields many. The areas where ancient bridges once crossed the stream provide especially rich pickings. Some items may have been accidentally lost, but the archaeologists believe that many were deliberately thrown into the stream as offerings to the gods. Items such as hairpins and bronze mirrors suggest that many of the offerings were made by women. Some items seem to have been deliberately buried in the stream bed itself. A large cache of coins is found in the middle of the stream. Archaeologists speculate that perhaps offerings were thrown from the bridges when the water was high enough to cover them, but buried when the water was low. Because common people don't often figure in the official dynastic histories, we know little about their day-to-day life. That's why even the small finds excite the archaeologists. The range of artifacts discovered helps them understand what life was like in Joseon times. Each broken piece of pottery, hairpin, mirror, coin, or shoe opens the window of knowledge that little bit further. Unlike the stone bridges and embankment, smaller artifacts can be conveniently taken back to the lab for further study. The salvage work in the stream has to be completed under difficult conditions and in record time. Dr. Hong and his team accomplish in a few months what would have taken other teams years. But the work's not over yet. Now that the heavy work is done, a new team begins the job of analyzing the uncovered treasure, meticulously cleaning and cataloging the tiny pieces that will be fitted together to unravel the puzzle of the Joseon past. A good eye and a steady hand aren't all that's required. Dr. Hong's team will also need a lot of patience. This is work that will keep them busy for years to come. Years are something the engineers don't have. The date for the scheduled unveiling of the stream is drawing close. They've cleared the channel. Now they have to make the bed. One of the reasons why the old stream ran dry is because the subsoil is porous and sucks water out of the stream. Boring machines test the profile of the subsoil. In order to keep the stream water from leaking out and being wasted, the new stream bed has to be waterproofed just like a man-made water feature. This means less water will need to be pumped in, which in turn will help keep the city's electricity bill down. 3 separate coverings are put down to stem natural leakage. Grading is the final process. A proper slope ensures a healthy flow. The restored stream falls 20 meters in 6 kilometers. With the engineering done, it's now time for the archaeologists to bring their ancient bridge up into the daylight. 2 years ago, the archaeologists braved dangerous conditions to enter the still-covered stream. They were looking for the cheonggyecheon, a long-lost Joseon bridge. The plan was to record it, remove it, and rebuild it over the restored stream. Finally, it's their chance to deliver. The cheonggyecheon is just the first of 4 ancient bridges that will be recovered and rebuilt over the restored stream. Archaeologists and construction workers work together to move the massive stones. The largest weighs 10 tons. The old bridge is being moved to a new location because the stream is wider now than it was in Joseon times. Even so, the ancient bridge has to be adapted so that it can span the new stream. To widen the bridge, new stones are cut to the old pattern and mixed with the original Joseon stones. When the wraps come off, people will be able to cross a 21st century stream on a 15th century bridge.
광통교에 대해서는 사실은 제대로 몰랐습니다. 기둥이 그 16개, 양쪽에 8개씩 16개가 있었는데 별로 큰 하수에 묻혀 있다 보니까 별로 크게 몰랐습니다. 정말로 멋있는 교량이 석교. 그러니까 광교가 이제 뭐 여기서 잘 아시겠지만 그 교량 길이보다 교량인 길이가 11.9m입니다. 약 12m고 교량 폭이 16m예요.
It's not just ancient bridges that will cross the stream. Altogether, 22 bridges will be built. They come from designs submitted by the public. Engineers must turn the winning designs into reality. As the clock winds down, workers put the finishing touches on the project. They labor to cover the bare concrete walls with stone cladding. Many of the old Joseon dynasty stones find new life in the 21st century stream. A full-scale facelift is now underway. After a quick lesson in the fundamentals of tree planting, volunteers get on with the job. Whole families turn out to plant trees together. This restoration project has caught the public's imagination, and many people want to be a part of it. The trees are more than just a green corridor to ease the eye and give the people a place to play. They will help redress Seoul's notoriously bad air quality. In restoring the stream, they are literally remaking Seoul by turning a part of the grey city green. The project is just the first stage in a complete reshaping of the soul of the city. After 2 years of hard work, the Cheonggyecheon stream is back. Only one thing is missing: water. A last challenge remains: the crucial water test. It started in July 2003, an outrageous scheme that promised to change the face of Seoul. By the time it was done, a crumbling motorway had been torn down and replaced by an historic stream. Seoul's engineers used modern technology to make the ancient stream a reality. Scoffers and skeptics claimed it couldn't be done. There were obstacles and challenges and conflicting agendas. But there was also an irresistible momentum driving the dream through the heart of the city. The stream was many things to many people. And now the wait is over. It's time to see whether the whole idea will work. There may still be a lot of work to do, but nothing can diminish the euphoria of this day. The vision, the problem solving of the engineers and construction crews, the patient digging of the archaeologists, all pay off as the water flows fast and clean along its old course. It's been 2 years and $400 million worth of hard work. But now, for the first time in hundreds of years, the people of Seoul can dip their toes in the cool, clean water of the cheonggyecheon stream. At last, they can reclaim the benefits of the Pongsu energy that was theirs all along.
대한민국 서울에서 이 어려운 일이 불가능하다고 하는 것이 가능하게 이루어졌기 때문에 이것은 세계 모든 대도시들에게 같은 문제를 안고 있는 도시에게도 이것은 가능하다는 어떤 그 좋은 메시지를 줬다고 보고.
아까 말씀드린 25년을 넘게 건설회사 생활을 하면서 이렇게 힘들었던 현장은 처음입니다. 저희 보통 신입사원 때가 제일 힘들다고 그러지 않습니까? 근데 신입사원 때 몇 배, 그리고 몇 배의 힘이 들었고.
저는 청계천 꿈과 희망이죠. 꿈과 희망. 꿈은 저 개인의 꿈이고 희망은 저희 후손에 대한 희망이 될 수 있겠죠. 저는 이 사업을 함으로써 또 새로운 일에 대해서 꿈을 가지게 된 것이고, 그리고 이제 제가 제 후손들이나 다른 이제 향후 세대에 대해서는 또 다른 희망을 주지 않을까 하는 생각이 듭니다. 그래서 저는 꿈과 희망이라고 생각합니다.